All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rider Review podcast, as always brought to you by 13K Productions. Today, Tyson and I have a very special guest, part of the Riders Alumni Association, former Saskatchewan Rough Rider, Grey Cup champion. I believe you also played for the Argos as well as the Ottawa Rough Riders. Dan Rashovich. Dan, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. This will be fun.
Yeah. So let's just get right into it. We're gonna get talking about the game over with because we all saw that. As a special teams player, yourself, Dan, what were your thoughts on that performance, I guess you can call it, on Saturday?
Well, man, it was just, a lot of pressure on the quarterback, hey? Again,
Yeah.
He really couldn't get his feet set. He threw some nice balls, but just, defense kind of, I think, again, kind of kept us in the game and and obviously, hey, we gave up a special teams touchdown, which is never a good thing, because it's hard to get that back, right? I mean, when you think about it, like even turnovers, turnovers are a killer, right? So, and penalties too, you don't want to be taking penalties at bad times, and especially when you're on a kickoff. Yeah, like you don't need half the distance of the goal line type thing. Like those are killers.
It's tough. I noticed during the first quarter there, and even like as the game continued throughout the game, a bright spot. It looked like Dalkey was just running all over the field. I saw maybe 5 plays where he wasn't around the tackle.
Yeah.
Tyson, what are your thoughts on Dalkey?
Dalkey's a stud, like we said. It's too bad he's missed. One game? I believe he missed. So it was good to see him back there. He's our Canadian safety. He's doing real well. It was kind of a show last night, but we'll do what we can. We lost our starting quarterback. We're not in great shape, but Dan, what do you see overall? What do you see overall from our defense? Obviously, you played defense for a number of years. If you could comment on that a little bit.
Yeah, the defense. You know what? I think overall, just overall with the team, I'll just say in general, just first of all, they're playing with some energy. You know what? They're finding ways to try to win and get things done, and they're playing with good energy, and I think, when people say about the culture from last year to this year, I think it's the culture's good in the sense that the guys are playing hard. Like they're playing they're playing hard, and we won some games maybe we shouldn't have won, but we won them, because when people look back, they're going to look back and just see how many W's you got. So
that's right.
When I look at the team from that aspect in terms of working hard, I see the team working hard. There's no doubt about it, So, and then obviously, I think defensively, that's a strength of ours. We're creating turnovers. We're getting some sacks. We're making some plays, and that's helping keep us in the game. Even the game before, against BC, man, we had field position the whole game. And we should have, would have, could have. We should have scored some more points. We had the field position. All we had to do is move the ball 1 or 2 first downs, and you come away with points. And you see the defense. When they make a play, even this last game, they're excited. They're, what's really interesting too, just about the team in general. What I really do see, they believe, because they've won so many close games. They believe they can win any game. They believe, even when they're down by, say, 15 or 18 points with 3 minutes left, they believe because they've experienced it, right?
Yeah.
I've been on teams where teams didn't believe because they didn't experience those moments of being able to come back, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that, especially with the American guys, because a lot of those guys with this clock stopping and you can't run the clock out up here, that's a big deal, Sure. So I think, and I really believe this, moving forward towards the end through the season, that's a big difference maker psychologically for the team to believe and know when you're down by even 14 with 3 minutes left, it's not over. And that's a huge strength that the team can draw upon. Yeah.
And you mentioned off the top there, I just wanted to touch on Mason Fine here. He had a lot of struggles, but I think he really got going there at the end of the game, or I guess into the second half. What's your thoughts on his first half struggles?
Yeah, he just it was tough, eh? Like, I mean, they just couldn't he just couldn't get settled, I guess. You know what I mean? And I think there were some drop balls as well. There were some drop balls, and just getting some consistency. There's and again, there's there's a lot of there's a lot of pressure, right? He's got to move around in the pocket all the time, right? And you can't get your feet set. Though, like I saw him, especially like you said in the second half, I mean, he was scrambling, but he was able to sort of get his body pivoted around and get his feet planted and throw some good strikes. I mean, again, he hasn't played that many games. That was his fourth game?
Yeah,
right?
Fourth start. Yeah,
fourth start. So, I mean, and I know fans aren't happy, but you know what? 4 starts, right? I mean, you got to give a guy more opportunities, and he's got to get a little more help up front. And I think the running game needs to we got to be able to run the ball better than we've been running the ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Because early in the season there, we were running the ball well. And it seems these last 2 games, we just can't seem to get something going.
No.
Yeah.
I think Toronto's defense was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, as they always are. You look at Winton McManus as somebody that stood out to me on that defense. Like,
he's a stud.
You saw him just flying around, making tackles everywhere, But as you said, during the second half there, he was getting balls out, and that the passing attack looked really well later in the game. Tyson, your thoughts on the passing attack?
Well, the passing attack is not good. Mason has not been good. Like we discussed on a prior podcast, I'm sure, Kid. I'm not sure how much blame to put in the lap of Mason Fine. That is makeshift at best up front on the O-line. We're tossing guys around. We haven't had the same lineup 2 weeks in a row. Having said that, Mason Fine is in his 3rd year. I understand it's his only his 4th start, but he's in his 3rd year, and I don't know if I've seen any progression. Perhaps I'm a little hard on him, but I don't know. We can't afford to miss the playoffs this year. We still do have KSB, Kean Schaefer-Baker, coming back. Lennius is back. He didn't show much last game. Winicky was back. He didn't show much last game. Darrell Walker is due to come back here sometime. So we do have some guns coming back. Hopefully that'll help our passing game. But it's really hard to lay the blame in any one spot. I think it's a shared commodity between the O-line and Mason Fine and possibly Kelly Jeffrey at this point. Dan, what do you see with that?
Well, I think we just played probably 2 of the best defenses in the league.
For sure.
With BC and Toronto. And you go back to the BC game, and I don't think our receivers could get separation.
No,
they really couldn't get separation. I think maybe we did a little better against Toronto in regards to that, but not a whole lot. And I think the guys are having a tough time getting open. I think they're having a tough time getting open.
Mm-hmm.
They got BC got some really good DBs. Hey, if you get that. But then again, you know what? Early, even in the first half, I mean, you noticed, he had to move out of the pocket all the time. He couldn't sit in the pocket. He had to move out all the time. I mean, they were just getting pressure steady, so kind of reminiscent of Fajardo a little bit, hey? And I was just watching today's game with Fajardo, and he's looking not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I think you have to also, I think we have to touch on Mason or on Jake Delagala here. He looked absolutely amazing in that last 3 minutes, I think is what he got. I'll eat my words here. I think he played very, very well. I think he played better. I was high on Mason Fine. I was saying everything is fine, but after seeing Delagala's performance, I was saying on the green zone too. I was saying that I was a fine person, but that game made me second guess. Dan, your thoughts on Jake Delagala?
Well, here's the thing. I don't care what position, even on the field. When you come off the bench onto the field, way less pressure. Whether you come on as a defensive player or an offensive player versus starting the game. And then I hate last 3 minutes. They're probably playing a little softer, maybe a little prevent. Though when you're up by that much, you know what? The defense is actually thinking, let's get after them and get some sacks, because that's how we used to think.
Yeah.
Hey, this is time to pad our stats. Let's get after them, hey, type thing. So
that's right. Get the sacks, get the picks. Yeah.
Exactly. So I just think, personally, I think, you start Fines for the next game. And if he's struggling, then you put Delgado in, come off the bench, and obviously get him some more reps this week, and because, again, coming off the bench is a lot easier than actually starting the game. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. Yeah.
And I'm completely in agreement with that. After me, you're playing the best team in the league. Like next week you're playing Ottawa, right? Like they're a tough team to beat. I'm excited to see Crum coming into Saskatchewan. I'm going to the game. My first game sitting in Peel Country. So,
nice.
What are your thoughts on the quarterbacks around the league? As there's obviously a lot of young guys coming in, and Tyson, what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah. We're gonna have to something happen, right? Because most starters, 6 whatever, and both.
Big Tyson's got
and I'm happy for the Ottawa fans, but maybe we're seeing the change of the guard. Maybe we're seeing the change of the guard as far as quarterbacks go in the CFL. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan.
I was just gonna say, I played against a lot of good quarterbacks. A lot of good quarterbacks, man. And there's no doubt the league is struggling a bit because the NFL. Now the NFL is every team's got an extra quarterback.
Yep.
And that's one less quarterback for us to potentially get.
That's right.
And on top of it, they're keeping quarterbacks that are kind of CFL style quarterbacks, guys that are mobile, guys that can move, or traditionally they didn't go after those type of guys. Look at Damon Allen.
Exactly.
And look at him, because I was just looking at, he rushed for 11,900 yards.
Yeah.
When he came out of college, they wanted him to go to the NFL as a running back. Well, you can see why. Hey, 11,900 yards. It's crazy, man. I remember chasing him around was not a lot of fun, So, but, hey.
I bet you do. I bet you. Smoothest quarterback I've seen. Damon Allen is one of the smoothest quarterbacks I've seen.
Oh, he was silky. It's funny. I ran into him at Grey Cup this year, and I saw him. We sat down and talked with each other for about an hour, and I was going, I'm not sure if I ever sacked you. And then he kind of goes, well, if you did, you would have remembered. It's funny. I went back and looked. I looked back.
No doubt, right?
When I was at the Argos, it's on YouTube actually. I went back to 1985, and Dunnigan was starting the game, got knocked out, concussion. Our other starting linebacker with the Argos, Don Moen, got knocked out. So Damon was in the game and I was in the game.
Oh yeah.
And Damon threw for his first touchdown pass to a guy named Chris Woods. And actually, me and Chris Woods both went down to NFL mini camps together with the Raiders in '87. But that touchdown got called back because Neil Lumsden got a holding penalty on me because I hit Damon. And then later in the game, I actually sacked him. So, but you know what? I did not remember any of those plays because I only played 250 or 255 regular season games. So, you know what, man? You can't remember everything.
Wow. Speaking of some nice rushers.
That's crazy.
Speaking of some good rushers, we got to talk about Harris. I can't remember who he passed, but he's now 5th all-time rusher in the CFL right now, I think, in running backs. Just your thoughts on the career he's had.
Oh, he's a stud. It's amazing. It's, like I was actually saying this to people actually yesterday. Yeah, I know he just he got 5th all time. He's 5th all time now, right? So, like, what is he? He looks like he's only about maybe 600, 700, where he could overtake another 2 guys potentially, But they got Willette.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, he's playing really well too, obviously, right? So, but I mean, really, Harris is within reach to catch another 2 guys to pass 4th and 3rd. I kind of saw those stats yesterday. So, hey, for that kind of durability and longevity and all those things, that's pretty amazing. Really is, Yeah, he's a stud.
Let's talk about some of your time with the Riders here.
One of the best, and he's Canadian, right?
Yep, exactly. And he's Canadian on top of it. You bet.
Tyson, got any questions for Dan here?
You bet. Go ahead, Caden.
Tyson,
you were just kind of touching on it there. Kind of glitching out here on. Yeah. Sorry, I'll get one in here, Dan.
Yeah.
We talked about off before we went on air here, and I showed you an autographed card that I had growing up, and the Rough Riders used to be pretty prevalent in the schools, doing community actions and that. If you could talk on that, what it meant to you guys back then, and possibly what it means to the current guys, and like maybe tie that into the Rough Rider alumni, and talk about it, if you will.
Well, I know obviously when I played, and they still do, but yeah, we did a lot of community events and a lot of community things in the off season. And, after my first year here was 87, I used to go back in the off season, back to BC and stuff like that. But then I decided I would stay and then kind of get more involved in the community. And he spent a lot of time going to a lot of schools all over the province, and it was great. I loved doing that, and sharing, my thoughts about the game, I guess, my thoughts about life in general, it was always a great experience, and I think back then too, we had the rider reps, which I thought was really cool as well in the community.
Yes.
Where they helped kind of, I think the seeds that were planted back then they're still kind of, the seeds are planted and things are growing. I mean, look at you guys, I mean,
yeah, that's me. I am one of those seeds. And
yeah, exactly. And I think it's really important that the team, continues to do that. That's how you build that Rider Pride Nation. I mean, by having the team and the players being involved in the community, and I think it's huge. I think the team does still do a lot of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. I loved it. It was amazing. I saw the card.
We loved it too, Dan.
Yeah, I saw the card you showed me. I think that was from, I think you said 1990. Yeah, I think so. Or 89. It might have been 89, 90 or something like that. So those are some good years.
We loved it too. Yeah, we loved it too. And like I said, I'm the product of that, planting that seed.
Yeah,
I became a Rough Rider fan because you dudes came to the schools and came to the little tiny community luncheons and sports dinners. I'm a product of that. So I can tell you without question, it works, so I hope they're taking it seriously. And I do think they are. So it's great to see. Kate?
So you mentioned you joined us here in 87 here, and 2 years later, it was 89, and everybody knows what happened in 89. Riders were Grey Cup champs. Just talk to us a little bit about what the camaraderie in the locker room was like there, and if you see any, similarities between now and then.
Camaraderie. Well, I'll just touch on one thing because you guys probably don't know this. You might find it interesting. I was drafted 3 times in the CFL. I'll touch on that.
What?
So I was drafted 3 times. So I was drafted in '84 by Ottawa, 13th overall. Then in '87, Then there was an equalization. Then there was an equalization draft in '86. So the weak teams could pick guys from the stronger teams. And that's when I mentioned earlier, Chris Woods, I went down with some Raiders mini camps because I played my contract out. Montreal had drafted me. And then when Montreal folded, I was drafted a 3rd time by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the dispersal draft. So I don't know if that's any kind of record as well. I've been drafted 3 times in the CFL.
I'd have to look into that.
I never heard that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. But again, just like you're saying,
that's why we love it.
Yeah. So, hey, like I got here, Bill Baker was the GM in 1987. He was the GM. One of the assistant coaches when I played in Ottawa was Dick Adams. And I think there was the game just recently. Glenn Suter was doing the game, and they had a bunch of Ottawa players on the field. Last game just recently played, and Dick Adams was on the field as well. They were commemorating, I forget which Grey Cup team for Ottawa, So I think Bill Baker and Dick Adams had a big part of bringing me here to Saskatchewan in 1987. And I guess you guys, hey, when I got here, I was like, oh my God, the team hasn't made the playoffs for 11 years. Wow. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you talk about a team, that team is built, by Bill Baker. He kind of put that team together. He built that team, and then Al Ford kind of took it over, and I've spoken with Bill about that team, and he goes, you know what? He was looking to build some toughness and some grit with that team, and I guess obviously like with any team, the key part of a team, hey, you need a quarterback. You need a quarterback, and I remember Kent Austin's first game. I remember we were in Hamilton.
Really?
And he went really? In, and Dave Albright was standing beside me, and I looked at me and Dave were looking at each other, and I'm going. We looked. I go. I don't know who said it first, but I said we're going to win a Grey Cup. I said that on the sidelines. Oh yeah, because you could tell.
Wow,
it's like you could tell.
Really,
we had a quarterback. Oh yeah, and on top of it, we had Burgess too, right? So here we are, kind of blessed with 2 pretty good quarterbacks. So, but in terms of the team, like you were mentioning earlier, Caden, you know what, man? Like Bill Baker wanted to build a team with some toughness and some grit, Hey, sometimes we were like, hey, we might give up a big play. I'll tell you one thing. We always felt that a team knew they played a game once they played us.
There you go.
Win or lose.
Tyson, got any questions?
Yeah. Let's see if I can get your gears turning and throw you for a loop here, Dan. You talked about the good times in your career. I want to talk about the not so good times, if you're cool with that, and talk about how you finished up. 98, 99, you retired in 99, I believe. I don't know. I believe it was 99, right?
Yeah,
I remember
99.
both those years. Yeah, I remember both those years. I was just getting out of high school, and the Riders were everything to me. And we're 5-13 and 3-15. You can maybe flop those around. And Jim Daly, Cal Murphy, talk about those lean years, if you would, Dan. And were you ready to go out? Did you want to go out like that? Touch on that, if you don't mind.
No. That was interesting. Like if you think of, if I go back even to 97, Jim Daly was head coach, and the first half of the season was not going well. And, I think we brought in Robert Mims. I think that was halfway through the season, roughly. Well, we had Katie Williams and Lamar McGriggs as well. and we had some. I remember we had some issues during the season where they were missing some meetings and etc.
Yeah.
Well, what was really cool is, and I've talked to Jim Daly about this. I said, I'll never forget, because he kind of put the power in our hands, the players. He's called myself and Richie Hall and a guy named John Kropke, and I think we had a couple other players. He called us in before the game. We were playing the Argos in Toronto, and he called us in and said, "What do you guys want to do?" We said, "You know what? Let's cut our losses. Let's cut our losses. Let's just be done with this." So they ended up trading them. You know what? And and we end up going to the Grey Cup. It's interesting.
Oh, I remember it well, buddy. I was there. I was in the stands at Commonwealth.
Well, do you remember the game in Edmonton, the Western Final, though? I was involved on 2 stops on the 1-yard line.
In 97?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No.
The pull-out section of the Grey Cup has got Slack in the corner and Flutie in the corner, and I'm kind of in the middle. And the photographer got a picture of, I guess it was Burst. He was the running back at the time. So stuffed him on the 1-yard line, and then McManus tried to do a bootleg on third and goal, and me and our halfback kind of corralled him and stopped him on that one, and then we actually ended up going down and score a touchdown, either a field goal or a touchdown on that drive from our 1-yard line. So yeah, but I guess like you said, those latter years was tough. Wasn't the way a guy wants to go out, but you know what? I remember that 99 team specifically, and it just felt like the inmates were running the asylum. It just felt like there was no leadership, and that wasn't good. And I remember I was playing with a pretty bad shoulder. I talked to Ivan Gutfrin, our trainer, and he goes, nowadays, he goes, we would not have played you. You would not be playing. Yeah. But I played the whole season, and I wasn't starting on defense or anything, but I was playing on special teams, and I still racked up over 20 special teams tackles in that last year with a bad shoulder. Anyways, but yeah, those were good years. I don't like to dwell on those ones too much, eh? And again, quarterback.
I had to ask.
Oh, fair enough, eh? I mean, hey. Yeah. The late 90s, we did not have a quarterback. We tried to find a quarterback, like Tony Rice. He was a Heisman winner. He was terrible. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, I don't remember Steve Sarkisian. I mean, he's a great coach.
Marvin.
He just didn't have a super strong arm on those wide side outs. Yeah, we just didn't seem to be able to find a quarterback. We really struggled there, because we had some really good defenses too, but
absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough.
Can we just touch a little bit on your post career? I wanted to ask if there's anybody you played with or even against. Have you kept in touch with any of those guys? And just tell us about a couple of the characters you remember, and even some of the guys you still talk to today.
Oh, well, I still talk with Richie Hall every once in a while, and I still talk with Aldag and Poley, and still talk with Dave Albright. Well, Dave Albright passed away. I ended up talking. I actually texted her. We talked the day before he passed away. Yeah, he was quite the character, eh? And again, he was a stud too. He played the game. Yeah. I've texted with Eddie Lowe. Still he's a mayor in Alabama.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. You can Google some stories on Eddie, how he's trying to bring a community together, especially down south, down south and like that with, you got, blacks and whites in the same community trying to bring people together, But I stay in touch with lots of guys, it's funny. I ran into a guy, people won't remember his name, but the guy named Pat Cantner. He was a fullback with the Bombers for 5-6 years, and he ran into me one Grey Cup, and he looked at me and he just goes, "You know what, man? You should be in the Hall of Fame." I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" He goes, "You changed the game on special teams, the way people play. Yeah. No one played it like you. You changed the game." I'm saying, "Thanks, man.
Yeah,
appreciate that, Pat."
100%.
Yeah, damn
right.
It's pretty cool when you got peers coming up to you saying stuff like that. Like, that was pretty neat. He goes, anyways, that was pretty cool. So
pretty special.
Pretty special.
And
a lot of people just see me as I was a special teams guy, but they forget that I played a lot of defense too.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now. Talk to us a little bit what you're doing now with the Alumni Association. Just what they're sending you out to do.
So I was involved. Anyways, I was involved with our Alumni Association when I first moved back. I was living in Calgary for about 13 years when I was done, and then I moved back. And me and a guy named Terry Bullich, he was the president of our alumni. I was vice president of our alumni. And we kind of got things going again. And then I kind of stepped away from that. But we do a lot of fundraisers with our alumni. And, we try to donate all those funds back to minor football and different kids sports, anything related to children and sports and kids, right? Now I'm back involved with our alumni again. I'm kind of, because when I was involved the first time, I was heavily trying to find alumni to let them know we have an alumni, right? To become part of something again, right? Yeah. So this time around, I'm going to be on the recruiting side. So I'll be kind of trying to hunt guys down and trying to build up our base and build up the number of, get alumni to join in, right? I guess the other things that I do, I chair an event for children's cancer. This will be the 7th year I'm going to do it. It's for all of Saskatchewan. It's called Believe in the Gold. Gold is the color of children's cancer. It's the number one disease killer of children, and it only gets 4% of all research money.
Mm-hmm.
This will be the 7th year. It'll be, if people are interested, they can go to www.believeinthegold. You just hit YQR. I have a fundraising page. You can hit my fundraising page, or you can register, or you can donate. Last year in 2023, we helped 44 families in Saskatchewan for out-of-pocket expenses.
That's awesome.
And the other portion of the money goes to this researcher who's using viruses and immunotherapy as another way instead of chemo and radiation. And if you even go on the website, you can listen to his 6-minute video and listen to some of his breakthroughs. And he's actually acknowledged and said, if it wasn't for Believe in the Gold and other groups like us, he would not be where he is right now. So it's pretty inspiring to have that happen. Yeah. And I guess it all started, I'll give you a quick. It all started because this young girl, 10 years ago, her name was JC. She had osteosarcoma, just like Terry Fox. And so 10 years ago, which was 30 years after Terry Fox, she got the same treatment. She had the same treatment. And she was so pissed off, she started Believe in the Gold because she just thought this was so wrong, because she kept wondering, where is all the money going? So they specifically decided, okay, we're going to help families with out-of-pocket expenses, and we're going to find this researcher who will actually specifically be looking for cures for osteosarcomas, which is a hard tumor. And if you listen to the 6-minute video, he talks about some of his research related to that. So, which is really cool. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I sell drill bits too.
The shameless plug in there, hey?
Oil and gas.
Yes, sir. Right here.
Yeah. So,
Dyson, got any questions for Dan before we wrap up here?
Well, I have lots of them, dude. We could keep Dan here all night.
Who's the all-time leading special teams tackler?
I'm gonna say it's you.
Got your Rough Riders history? I'm gonna say history.
Well, CFL history.
Well, that's a tough one.
I sent you Dan Stone's article.
There's 7 seasons where
is that you?
They didn't record your stats, right? I think it's you.
Oh yeah.
No way.
Oh yeah.
And we never hear that, do we?
Well,
we never hear about that.
Hey, Caden, I sent you.
I had no idea.
I sent you Rob Vanstone's article, and I sent you that one clip from a guy you don't want to meet, a dark alley or lighted field.
Yeah. I read a little bit of what you sent me there. Yeah, and it's just crazy how they ain't keep track of your first 7 seasons.
It is crazy because most guys don't play on punt and kickoff and defense. Most do not their whole career. Put it that way.
No. Wow.
No.
Here I am, my pretty unique athlete that can do that.
Yeah, my 16th season still. But anyways, so I don't know. Hey, just I figure we better throw that in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, better throw that in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to get you guys a pic. I have to get you guys a picture of me sacking Flutie. I have to get you a couple. That's a nice one too. I got him 7 times.
He's one of my most hated quarterbacks. So and I remember that '97 Grey Cup quite well, 47-24, whatever it was, right? I remember it well. I was hyped up.
I still think we could have won that. I do. Like we were running that veer or that option. All we had to do is do an adjustment off of it. Fake the option, pull it out, and do a little dump pass across the middle, and goodbye. Because you know what, Don Matthews, he coached me too, and he always said, we're going to play the play. We're going to play the play, and we're going to stop what they do best. Yep. We're not going to play ghosts.
That's right.
You know what? And that's what we should have. In my opinion, that's what we should have done. And it's funny, we didn't talk about it, but I definitely I've had great years under Don. So I loved him as a coach, but I didn't like him as a person.
Yeah. I've heard that several times. Yeah. That checks out. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
No, I don't have much more, Caden. I don't know, Dan. I just like to say God bless you for all you're doing with children's cancer and that foundation. And we need to start talking about that more. It's you're doing yeoman's work, as they say, and God bless you for that.
Yeah, thanks.
Caden?
Hey, if you guys, maybe you can add this on, a little WWF Believe in the Gold, and let's get the word out there a little bit. And you know what? Every little bit helps.
Of course, we will definitely. We'll leave a link in the description. So if you guys want to go right now and click on the link, and it'll take you to their website. And thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Rider Review Podcast.
Wow.
Tyson and I just want to send our thank yous to Dan for joining us here today. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Maybe we'll do another one down the road.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.